Begin. Kumlena Blat Gemara, Mitzvah Shabbos Kodesh Parshas Boy. We are up. Today's daf is daf Hey, and from the very bottom daf Dal on the base. So the last thing we were discussing was a nazir of like a nazir olam, and traditionally the only nazir olam we had was Avshalom, was a nazir forever, and so we're just. For those who just came on, we're just revising some of the Gemara Mizrahi. They're up to Daf Talmud Beis at the very bottom of the page. So Avshalom, we have an argument. He took a haircut because we said in the Mishnah that one of the leniency of a Nazir Olam is a Nazir forever, that whenever the hair gets too long, they use a razor and to lighten the load. And the question is, how often is that? So we'll have three opinions, 3 lines on the bottom. The Tanya we learned. Rebbe Omer. No, this is what we learn out the whole concept of Nazir Olam. Rebbe said Avshalom Nazir Olam. Avshalom was a Nazir Olam. Remember, it says, at the end of 40 years, and Avshalom tricked over the Melech, and he said to him, he was preparing for rebellion. He said to David, I will go, I will want to pay up my obligations, which was talking about a Nazir, that I promised to Hashem at Hebron. And now, so we know he was a Nazir, and he went up there. And how often did he lighten his hair? We know he took a haircut once every 12 months. Because it says in Pasuk that when he took his haircut, this was the end of Yomim. This was the end of the days, to the days that he took a haircut, because Kikovid Allah was very heavy on his head. So it says Yomim, and how do we know Yomim? How long it's the period? Because the Yalid, where else do we find Yomim when it comes to a certain amount of time? We learn that Yomim Bati Aruchayma. If somebody has there's a walled city and you sold your house, you have a year to buy it back. And there you use the pasuk there says Yomim. That if you sell a house there, then you have Yomim Tir Golasos, and it's a year. So the same thing here, Yomim means a year. Mahasim Yubechedis or Kali Bechedis. There it's a year, here it's a year. Says the Gemara, we're on top of the page, Hey Yom Aleph.
Which page? Which page is it?
5A.
5A1.
5A1. A couple of lines from the top. Rab Naharai says, you can take a haircut once every 30 days to lighten the load. And Rabbi Yezi says, every Friday. And we already discussed that according to Rashi, they're only arguing regarding Avshalom, but everybody else has to take a haircut every 30 days, even according to Rabbi Yossi, weekly, but only Avshalom, he was an exception, as we'll soon see, but everyone else took a haircut every month. As we're going to say, that according to Rashi, that it's all very subjective, depends what you're used to. And if you go beyond that, suddenly your hair load becomes a bit heavy. So now we're going to work our way through all these opinions. Rabbi Yossi says every Friday she came with Tzinu b'mnei Malach. When it comes to royal family, she megalchim erev Shabbos. They used to take a haircut every Friday. And Avshalom was a member of the royal family, so therefore for him, that's the longest he can wait to take a haircut. My time with the Rebbe, let's work through Rebbe. Why does the Rebbe say Yomim means a year? Yalid, but the Chemi lives out from the house of the walled city. But every Dama we find other places the word Yomim, and it means something else. For example, Rebbe said, Yomim Pchusim Mishnayim. That it says, it also when it talks about selling a house, it says the first couple of days you have to leave by the buyer, and then afterwards you can redeem it. And it says Yomim there. Rebbe says it means 2 days. So how do we know that Yomim by a Nazir means a Nazir Olam means wait a year? Maybe it means wait 2 days. Says the Gemara, Hai Gzeira Shava, what the whole purpose of this Gzeira Shava is Mishum Kovet. The pasuk says that Avshalom removed his hair because it was very heavy. In 2 days, your hair doesn't grow that much to bother you. As we know, it takes 3 days for the hair to start growing back. The aim of Beis Shanim, why don't maybe it means 2 years? We find the word Yomim mean years. The Chsiva says, by Pari had a dream. It says there, the end of 2 years, it says Yomim. So maybe Avshalom waited 2 years before he took a haircut. So we say, when you make a Gzeira Shava, we look for the same word. Over here by us, the word is on its own, Yomim. Over there, in the case of Pari, it says, Shnasayim Yomim. So this Yomim is coupled with another word. That's something totally different. Done in Yomim she'enim onim shanim. Be Yomim she'enim onim shanim. The word Yomim on its own. Al yochiach zeh sheyesh imay shanim. Don't bring me in the Gzeira Shava a word that says Shnasayim Yomim. Okay, ve'im olamed Yom. Maybe Yamim means 30 days. Could we find somewhere else that Yamim connotes 30 days? The Chesiv says, Ad Chodesh Yamim. It says in Pasuk when they were asking for meat, Hashem said, you're going to have so much meat, up to a month of days, that's going to come out of your nose. It says Chodesh Yamim. So the Yamim is a month. Done again, we're answering the same answer. Done we judge Yamim she'eni man chadashim, Yamim solo, the Yamim she'eni man chadashim, there's no chadashim. But al yechiach, don't bring zesh yesh iba chadashim, which says Yamim together with chadashim. Says the Gemara, let us say mahacha from here. It says that when Yiftach, when he went to war with Ammon, he said that he so expresses gratitude to Hashem that the first thing that comes out his door, he's going to bring up as a carbon. He obviously intended for an animal, but it turned out to be when he came back from war, he was so victorious. He was victorious. His daughter came out to greet him, and so he had to abide by his neder. He could have gone and be mata neder, but he didn't. He could have gone and annulled his neder. Big argument whether he actually killed his daughter or whether she was banished. But nevertheless, it says in the pasuk there that 4 times a year the girls would come together and wail about her fate, about her plight. So 4 times a year means every 3 months. If it's every 3 months, maybe yamim. It says the pasuk yamim yamima.
Which page is it on?
Somebody can please say
5A1, second
What?
column.
5.
5A1 or 5A2 now.
Which
Left column at the top.
okay, 5A2 left column at the top.
5 was in the Dorim.
Yeah.
Ah.
Says Nazir. Nazir. Yeah. Says the Gemara, why don't we make it a Shabbat from these girls, Yamim? Says the Gemara, because over there it says Yamima, versus here it says Yamim. Says the Gemara, done in Yamim me Yamim. We make a Shabbat with the word Yamim from another place as Yamim. They ain't done in Yamim me Yamima, but you don't learn from the word Yamim. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. We find many Gzera Shabbos where the word is not exactly the same. In fact, we might have to mean but Tanya Bishmael said, which we learned a number of occasions, Vishav HaKohen, the Kohen returns of HaKohen. It says the Kohen goes to examine the house to see whether the leprosy, whether there's leprosy or not, and he would chisel out a stone and remove it. And then he came back 7 days later to observe, and it says there, Vishav HaKohen. In one pasuk says Vishav, he returns, one pasuk says the boy he comes. Zui Shiva, Zui Bia. We don't know what he does when he returns, but because we know what he does when he goes, we know what he does when he returns. So we're making Exer Shava, Shava Ba. So we see that even if it's not exactly the same word, we're entitled to make Exer Shava. So surely Yamim and Yamim is not that far apart. Why can't you make Exer Shava? And instead of saying Avshalom waited 12 months, say he waited 3 months. We're going to give 2 answers. When do we say that it doesn't really matter if it's exactly the same, if that's the only Exer Shava, the only option we have? If you have another option where it's exactly the same word, we will learn it out from the word that's exactly the same. Another answer is Ikadam. Another answer is who told you that these girls got together every 3 months? These girls got together 4 times a year, but maybe it was sporadic. Maybe it was twice in the summer, once in the winter, once in the spring. You don't know. So how are you going to learn from there that Yamim means a certain set period of time when we don't know about a set period of time? Says the Gemara, how do you know the how do you know that every 3 months that's when they went, they joined together? Dilma Arba Zimna perhaps 4 times a year, but could be Arba Yachid Chazimna. One occasion was after 4 months, 3 Yachid Chazimna 2 months, and so on. So you can't learn from there a set time. Rab Nehorai says, Megaleach Achas L'Shloshim that Avshalom took a haircut once every 30 days. My time, but why? Because Gabi Koyanim by Koyanim Bishumnika Koyvid. Koyanim would take the ordinary Koyan, not the Koyan God, the ordinary Koyan would take a haircut every month because it was sloppy, it wasn't it was like they looked unkempt and they worked in the base of English, they had to preserve their look proper. So we see that that Koyvid is 30 days. So the same thing over here. Hachinami Iko Koyvid. So Avshalom. When we say that the hair was long, was too long, it's 30 days. Now, the truth be told, how do you know a kohen is 30 days? We have a special Gzera Shabbat. It says para regarding leaving your hair long by Nazir and by kohen, and that's how we learn out that every 30 days, kohen take a haircut. So it's odd. You're learning Nazir Olam from kohenim, and kohen you're learning from Nazir regular. Why don't we just directly learn Nazir Olam from an ordinary Nazir every 30 days? So the answer is an ordinary Nazir takes a haircut after 30 days because the Nazirus is completed. But when it comes to a Nazir Oilun, the Nazir is not completed. So who says you take a haircut at all? Or when you take a haircut? But Kohanim, every 30 days they took a haircut, but their avodah, their service in the base of Mikdash was not over. They continued being Kohanim and they continued coming back and roster on and working base of Mikdash. So therefore, we can only learn from Kohanim that even though you continue your Nazirus, you still take a haircut every 30 days. Rabbi Yossi says, "Megalech on Shabbat, you take a haircut every Friday." Ma'ika beinei l'shar ha'choyim. So the question obviously is, every member of the royal family took a haircut every Friday. So how in the world was Avshalom different than everybody else? Somebody says, I'll tell you where the difference would be. You know what stand out? Yom Tov shechali is be'enter Shabbat. Yom Tov fell out on Tuesday. Then Achoi Megalch, the members of the royal family would take a haircut out of Yom Tov as well to prepare themselves for Yom Tov. But Hule Megaleach. But he would not, because he only can do it on Fridays. Or another answer is, even if they all did it on Friday, in Safra, the Maila Shabbat in the morning of Friday, all his brethren, they would take a haircut in the morning. He would wait till the afternoon. Why would he wait till the afternoon? Of course, it's possible to Shabbos. That's another question. All the Shem asked that you want to know what's the difference between him and his brothers. He had to bring 3 sacrifices every Friday. He had to bring 3 animals to the base of Mikdash. And his brothers just took a haircut. Isn't that enough of a difference? So the Rosh wants to say that why Taka did he wait until the afternoon? Why couldn't he do it Friday morning? Because he was busy bringing kabbalas. And that's what the Gemara means, Panya. Because he had to bring the kabbalas, he did it in the afternoon. And it wasn't the afternoon versus the morning. It was the reason why he did it in the afternoon. Because he had to bring his kabbalas. So therefore, that is the difference. Now the Gemara wants to know. It says in that passage that we originally brought up, at the end of 40 years, Avshalom decided to mount a rebellion against his father. What 40 years? What did he associate to? How do you might be the day? These 40 years, what do they associate to? The Gemara will give an answer. It's interesting. The Eben Ezra in this week's Parsha Boy, when it says in the passage of Eden were 400 years in Mitzrayim, he wants to know how do you calculate? He says a number of times in the Torah and Tanakh it says a certain amount of years, but doesn't associate it to any particular period. And we have to figure out what it is. And one of the examples he gives about Avshalom, 40 years. And we don't know 40 years to what. He doesn't reference to our Gemara, but he's just talking generally that, 40 years and doesn't tell us to what. You want to know, you know what the 40 years were? The end of the 40 years, Sheshol and Melech, when they originally asked for a king. And as the Medrash says, that they rebelled. The Eden, when they asked for a king, Shmuel Hanavi was the leader. He was a king. And they asked for a king, they rebelled against Hashem. So therefore, 40 years later, a next rebellion against David HaMelech, which is tantamount to rebelling against Hashem. There's anybody here. The 10th year of Shmuel Ramasi. Avshalom miscalculated. He knew that his father had to be a king for 40 years. He thought that the 40 years was not that he was 40 years reign. It was 40 years from when the Yidden initially asked for a king. So according to his calculation, David HaMelech's role as a monarch came to an end. So he had every right to take over. And he was an older son, so therefore he should take over. That was Avshalom's reckoning. But it was totally wrong. The fallacy was that...
Which daf on...
we're up to the Mishnah. We're up to the Mishnah now. On 5...
5A. 5A.
5A.
5A3, Masechta Nazir by the Mishnah.
5A.
Yeah, 5A3.
Yeah.
You're up to the Mishnah. Sorry.
Can I ask something? Am I missing something? I mean, if
What?
we're talking about having a haircut every 7 days or every 30 days, there's no way someone can hang themselves on a tree with such short hair.
So that is why good question, but that is why we mentioned, actually not today, but yesterday, that they say, Tosha says, he didn't take even though it says razor, he didn't take a haircut. All he did was his hair might have been very long, he just shortened it a little bit.
Yeah.
So we don't know how long or short his hair was. So even though they used a razor, it wasn't a crew cut. You have to say that, otherwise how in the world did he exactly get tangled in a tree?
So literally it was just reducing the weight a little bit.
That's it. Exactly that. In fact, that's the language in the Mishnah. The Mishnah said,
Yeah.
Makel. Doesn't say cut, it says makel, make it a bit lighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Stam Nazir is Lamad Yom. And if you don't specify how long you want to be a Nazir, 30 days, which is, according to the Rambam, the minimum. Even if you specify 10 days, you will not be a Nazir for 10 days. The minimum is 30 days. That's what it seems to read from the Mishnah. We'll soon see the Gemara as a big machlekes. Says the Gemara, how do you know 30 days? Amar Rav Masna. Rav Masna says, Amakra. The pasuk says, Kadosh Yiyah, that the Nazir itself becomes holy. You know, we learned in the beginning of Nedarim that a neder, you take the object and you make the object forbidden to you. The object is holy. A shvua is you take upon yourself an obligation to do certain things. Where does a nazir fit in? So the Rishonim say, some of them, it's right in between. The Rosh says there that the nazir does not make the wine forbidden. It's not just a promise, I won't drink wine, for example. It's that your body becomes holy. You've transformed yourself. Kadosh Yiyah, you become holy. So that's like halfway in between a neder and a nazir. So as a result, you being holy, you cannot take a haircut, you cannot defile yourself, nor drink the wine, or eat grapes. And the word Yiyah numerically equals 30. Yud K is 30. The gematria class now, that equals 30. Now, it can't be the gematria to teach you such important halacha. They already had a tradition that it's 30 days, and they just based themselves on this pasuk. Bar Pada Amar, something similar. Keneged Nazir Nizra Hamurim B'Torah. Lamed Chasar Achas. You look in the parsha of Nazir, where it talks about Nazir, you count, you add it all up. There are 29 times the word Nazir, even though there's a 30th time, but it says Nazir Lakov, that means a crown. So by Pada, really, the Gemara understood right now holds that a Nazir is not 30 days. A Nazir is actually 29 days, because 29 times it says the word Nazir in that parsha. And Rashi at the bottom of the page cites all the words Nazir that it says. Says the Gemara, okay. Why is that masculine for Nazir? Amalach will tell you, some of the words of Nazir are not there just to give you a number, but actually teach you halacha. For example, we learned yesterday, lesa yayin mitzvah yayin. It should say the pasuk yayin b'sheicha yaza. You should separate from wine and old wine, and we learn from there that the Nazir will also impose itself on the wine of a mitzvah. You know, whatever made a shvur, you will drink wine, and now you say it'll be a Nazir, you don't drink that wine. Or another word Nazir we need for halacha. Kiyafli linder neder. When you go ahead and you express your neder, Nazir lihazir. So the Nazir to Melamed, we learn Hanazidis Chala al Nazidis. That if you, the way the Rashi learns, if you took a loaf of bread and said, if I eat it, I'll become a Nazir, and then you say it again, if I eat, I'll become a Nazir, and you ate the bread, you become a Nazir twice. Or if you said, I'll be a Nazir today, and then you said, I'll be a Nazir, then you become a Nazir one after another in successive terms. So Bar Pada holds 29 days, and Master says 30 days. And Master says, I don't learn from this Nazir business, because some of the words Nazir there are actually needed for certain halachas. So therefore, there's no real number there. Pada says you're right, but lekachad b'noin the lav l'drasha. There are some words Nazir there that are superfluous, and the only reason why it's recorded in the Torah is to teach you a number. So once we know that certain Nazir there teach a number, we'll tell you that all the Nazirs, we don't know how many, so we're going to assume all the words Nazir there teach you a number, but some of them will also teach you a halacha. The drasha since some of the words Nazir there are there to give us a number, and we don't know how many, it must be the full amount, all 29. Now we're going to go through a number of Mishnahs where we're going to have a problem with Pada or Ramasta. So starting out Tanan, the Mishnah we just learned. It says in the Mishnah, Stam Nazir Shleisha a Nazir is 30 days. Now, Masa says a Nazir 30 days. It makes sense. Bar Pada Kasha. Bar Pada says a Nazir is only 29 days. What's going on here? Although Bar Pada says, look, even when your Nazir's terms ends, doesn't automatically mean you can drink wine. You need to wait until you bring your carbon and you take a haircut. So, and you cannot bring a carbon at night. You can only bring a carbon on the 30th day. So you're going to be a Nazir part of the day until you bring your carbon. So therefore the Mishnah says a Nazir is 30 days. Because even according to Bar Pada, you're a Nazir until you bring your carbonas. So the 30th day you take a haircut and you bring your carbonas. So therefore, it says 30 days. Says the Gemara, okay, I'll ask you a question from the next Mishnah. Not the next Mishnah, but the third page. Now we learned, Misha Amar, if somebody says, Hareini Nazir. If somebody says, I am a Nazir. If somebody says, I'm a Nazir, takes a haircut the 31st day. Now, what's going on here? According to Bar Pada that you're a Nazir for 29 days, you should be taking a haircut on the 30th day, not the 31st. To be master, you're a Nazir for 30 days. Makes sense. Bar Pada Kasha, because Bar Pada doesn't make sense. Why are you waiting till the 31st day? So now the Gemara is in a minute is going to change everything around. And we misunderstood Bar Pada. Allah Bapadapada said, first of all, before I answer your question, I'll ask you a better question. This is the idea of Eden generally. You ask a question, I ask you another question. And the purpose of asking you the second question is so you're forgetting about your first question. Even if I don't have an answer for it, you probably forgot about it because I got you focusing on my second question. So Bapadapada retorts with a question. Ema Sefer, continue reading the Mishnah. It says, Im Gilach Liyem Shleishim, if you took a haircut on the third day, but you have it, Yotze Yotze. What's going on here? If you learn like me that Nazirus is 29 days, therefore, if you took a haircut third day, it makes sense. But according to you, Rav Master, that the Torah says you need to take a haircut, you need to be a Nazir for 30 days, and therefore your haircut must be the 31st. How can you be Yotze if you took a haircut right in the middle of your Nazirus on the 30th day? Ela Sefer Misayeli, the Sefer supports me, says Barpoda. I, Reisha, what do you do with the first part where it says, the Chatchila, you should take a haircut the 31st day? Now this is like follows, that we misunderstood Barpoda. Barpoda was talking about Mahat Torah. Mahat Torah, it is 29 days. But the Rabbanan decided to intervene because most people round off the nearest number, they do 30. They say I want to have 30 complete days and so on. So therefore the Chacham said, you know what? Regardless of what you said, even though you said just Nazir without specifying, we'll give you an extra, you'll be 30 days because most people choose 30 days. So the 29 days is from the Torah. The 30th day is only Midrabbanan. So L'chatchila, don't take a haircut on the 30th day. Take it the 31st. But if you took a haircut on the 30th day, since Mahat Torah, your Nazir is ended, it's all right. No, saying about Ramasna, Kashna, Sefer, Ramasna, now we have to deal with the Sefer. The Sefer clearly said, but the 30 day, it's all right. The Sava Ramasna holds something else. Miktzas Hayem Kikulai. That a partial day is considered like a full day. Just like, for example, if somebody, Rahman Islam, is available in the morning and the 30 has to wait Shloshim, the 30th day, as soon as it comes in Miktzah Kulai. Or by Shiva, you stand up on the 7th day, Miktzah Kulai. So Bar Pada does not believe in Miktzah Yom Kippur. So Bar Pada therefore says that 29 days is the Nazirus, the 30 days only Rabbanan. But Rav Masna says Miktzah Yom Kippur, and because he believes in Yom Kippur, no problem. Chatchila, you should do it 31st, but if you did it 30th, it's all right. Okay, continue on with the Mishnah in that very same. It's a very long Mishnah. The Mishnah we're quoting from. We'll continue tomorrow as well. So now we learn Hareni Nazir Shleishim Yom. If I'm a Nazir for 30 days, it says that Im Gilach Yom Lamed Lo Yotze. It says clearly the 30th day you're not Yotze. In fact, it's very difficult to understand from the Gemara who are we asking the question on, because really we can ask it to both of them. We can ask it to Barpoda. You say that Mahat Torah 29 days is a Nazir, 30 days on Rabbanon. What do you mean if you took a haircut 30 days no good? And then we turn to Ramasna. You say that the 30 days mixes again Kukulai. So how come if you went ahead, you took a haircut the 30 days, it's no good? So we have a question on both of them. And what answers Ba'imish Shleimin. So either if the question is on Barpoda, who says that Mahat Torah is 29 days, but the Rabbanan is 30 days. He says that's talking about a case where you actually said, I want the 30 whole day. So therefore, the 30th day, you can't take a haircut. And according to Rav Masna, he's talking about a case where he said, I'll be a Nazir for 30 days. Since Rav Masna holds a Nazir is always 30 days, by you adding 30 days, what are you trying to say? You're trying to say, I don't want to rely on Miktzah Yom Kippur, I want to have the full 30 days. Okay, continue. So now we learn Misha Nazir basically. Somebody said, "I'll be a Nazir twice in succession." So what do? You have to end the first Nazirus, complete it, bring the kabbanas, the haircut, and the works, and then you start immediately the next Nazirus. So this says as follows: You take a haircut on the 31st day, and the second haircut you take on the 61st day. It says clearly here, when should you take your first haircut? On the 31st day. But according to Barpoda, you should be able to take a haircut on the 30th day. Now, this Gemara is very problematic. We just had exactly the same question a minute ago, and we answered that the Rabbanan came in and said that even though Mahat Torah Nazirus ended, we want to add one more day. What's the Gemara asking the question again? So the Rishonim say it happens quite often. The Gemara repeats the same question. But then some of the Rishonim say there usually is some additional point here, as we'll come to it soon. Saying about Mishnah, I understand why the 31st day. Barpoda Kashi, Barpoda have a problem. Allah is exactly the same answer before. I'm going to ask you a question. Amos Seifel, continue reading. It says if the Eved you took your haircut on the 30th day, good enough. And the next one you do on the 60th day. In other words, you start your 30 days again straight away. So it supports me. Ella Seifel Misayele, it supports me that you could take a haircut on the 30th day. And a question of the master. And in Asia, you want to know why in the beginning it says don't do the third day, but I'm Mishlamim, but the rabbis came in and added another day. Because now, Uramasna Kashna Sefer. So what's our Masha going to do with the Sefer? How come it says here that by the Evid, you took a haircut on the 30th day, it's good enough. Ramasna says you need 30 days of Naziris. On the Ramasna, it says the Sefer. Yom Shleishim Oylakan Olakan. The 30, it's Mitzvah Yom Kikule, and therefore the 30 day can work for both. Mahi, so what are you trying to tell me? That Mitzvah Yom Kula is you're telling me the whole Chiddush here is that Mitzvah Hayom part of the day is good enough. Amr Chadazim we learned it before, right? For other part of the Mishnah. Gemara says no. I would have thought Hani Mili in the first part of the Mishnah, you only have one Naziris. You're finishing it off. So we say, make the 30th day, you took a haircut, all right, Mitzvah Yom Kikule. Here we're going a step further. You're starting a second Naziris. So on the same day that you completed the first Naziris and you took a haircut in the morning, that very same day in the afternoon, you're starting your next Naziris. To have one day, Mitzvah Hayom, to be treated like one day, and the other Mitzvah Hayom to be treated like another day, that's a much bigger Chiddush. And that's why that's what he's telling us. I would have thought, Hani Mili Chadazim, when it comes to one Naziris, okay, you Mitzvah Hayom Kikule. I will stay Naziris, to have the same day split into two parts, that one part of the day is considered one day. And the other part of the day is considered like another day, loy, maybe that you cannot say. Kamashla, and that is the Chiddush here. Okay, we'll stop here. And we'll continue tomorrow in Mitzvah Hashem.